版本应该怎样去发挥优势呢？
我觉得中单在这个版本的话，需要对线权有很大的掌控力吧，然后在队友需要自己的时候能发挥出作用来。
那你们今天再度交战西安 WE， 有没有信心拿下连胜？觉得需要注意到哪些方面？
还是有信心能拿下连胜的吧。然后这次我们还是需要注意一下队员府的联动吧。
好的，比赛加油！Hello， 各位好，欢迎来到赛前采访。我们邀请到了西安 WE 的下路选手 About， 先跟大家打个招呼吧。
大家好，我是西安旗舰 W 的选手 About。
现在的中文说的很不错啊。那首先第一个问题要问到的是，现在你们在组内赛的第1轮循环已经结束了，你觉得大家在哪些方面做得比较好，哪些方面又还有提升进步的空间呢？
개인적으로 제가 잘했다고 생각하지를 않아서 근데 제 나름대로의 제 실력에 자신감이 있기 때문에 타차 적응해 나가면서 호흡 맞추면 더 잘할 수 있을 것 같습니다.
我觉得我擅长的部分还没有表现出来，所以对自己的实力有信心。慢慢适应的话，可以做得更好。
那今天你们将再次交战深圳 NIP， 相信你们也会全力以赴。你觉得这场比赛的关键会是什么呢？
상대가 전체적으로 다 잘한다고 생각하긴 하지만 특별히 바텀이 더 잘한다고 생각하고 거기에 맞춰서 저희도 더 잘한다면 쉽게 이길 수 있을 것 같습니다.
虽然对方整体上做得很好，但我们下路会觉得比他们更好，所以准备好我们做的东西的话，我觉得可以赢。
好的，比赛加油！
谢谢。
Hello everyone, how's it going? I'm here. I'm live. I'm trying to find my phone because I don't know where I put it down. Hey, there we go, nice. Hello everyone, how's it going? So, we have that whole thing. LPL Song and Dance again today. Yeah, that's me. That is the Alex Hapgood. Hapgood.
虎牙直播、哔哩哔哩直播、腾讯视频、腾讯体育、新浪微博、微信视频号进行收看。电视机前的召唤师可以通过百视通平台收看全程赛事。上京东搜“京东电竞直播”，赢1000元耳机和游戏手办。穿李宁日进斗金系列，祝你峡谷稳赢，马年旺到飞起。开一局吗？开就开！ 感谢提供全场保护的杜蕾斯，今晚持久战力开一局。Sky Motor 手机电动，快人一步，稳赢一路。TCL 全屋智慧家电，峡谷英雄敢为不凡。2026 LPL 官方指定家电产品，更受电竞用户喜欢的能量饮料，醒神好喝，当然占吧。傲风电竞椅连续6年中国电竞椅销量第1。
Hello
Hello everyone, and welcome into our first game of the day. Wow, that was very loud. I got jump scared by that. NIP versus WE. NIP versus WE. Yeah.
Shenzhen Ninjas in Pajamas, Xi'an Team WE.
Fun thing about both these teams, as you might have noticed the announcers say there, both of these teams have a home arena. Shenzhen for NIP, Xi'an for WE. Let me have another look at the stage. I think we're in Xi'an. Yeah, I think the first matchup between these teams was, yeah, this is Xi'an. This is not Shenzhen.
LPL 第一赛段组内赛第2周第7日，西安 WE 对阵深圳 NIP 即将开始。LPL 无畏尽巅峰。
So this is the away match for NIP, the home match for Team WE. Or Xi'an. I thought it was Xi'an. My bad. My bad. Anyway, so first game of the day is WE versus NIP. And I have to say, NIP have given me a lot to be happy for them. By the way, this team, they've not faced each other before. This will be the... Yeah, this will be... Oh, sorry, they have... Sorry, I'm dumb. Weirdly, hang on. Hang on, is NIP not faced... There's some weird stuff happening with the... Oh, no, I hadn't refreshed, but... Guys, have NIP played TT yet? I don't think they have. When do NIP play TT? Hang on. There's some weird stuff going on here. Yeah, NIP are going to face TT twice in a row, so they actually haven't finished their first round robin because they haven't faced TT. That's strange as heck. Hey, Montes, thanks for the bits, I appreciate it. Yeah, they played against... That's so strange. Are you casting from Europe or NA, or do you live in China during LPL season? I live in Berlin. I live in Europe. Yeah, I've only been out to China once, and that was for the 2023 Summer Finals and Summer Regional Gauntlet, effectively. Which is where, you know, we saw the Shy and Uzi fight for a place at Worlds. It was very, very cool. Yeah, so what's happening in this series is NIP are facing Team WE for the second time. While... Oh, sorry, I turned off the text-to-speech the other day. I'm sorry. I turned it off the other day and I forgot to turn it back on. What I need to do is I need to have two different alert boxes, one for in-game, one for out-of-game. So one of them can be loud, one of them can be quiet. Surely another Care and Guon masterclass. That was the biggest thing I took away from the first from the first series, which was the only series to which Team WE have lost so far. Which was Care saying effectively, look, you guys criticize me when I lose, so where's the praise when I win? And that really resonated with me, actually. That really resonated, because he's a player who's had a lot of criticism, folks. Like, a lot of criticism. Yeah, however, I do think this guy can be genuinely like a top 5 Ahri in the world, particularly Ahri. And as we get into those picks and bans, it's the Silas banned away from Karis and the Akali. So that asks the question, okay, Karis, you're playing stuff like the Assassins into Mages. What do you have when the Assassins are gone? Because I suppose we'll see the answer, right? What happens if you go into a Mage matchup? Now, Care and Karis are both Azir players. However, we do have things like Rumble available with the Varus down and the Nico down. A little harder to spit them. Ahri open. The problem is Ahri's open, but Orianna's available. Orianna really dumps the Zarya in lane now. The Ahri-Ori matchup. It's going to be hard on my accent. Jarvan first locked in for Guon. Other side now. Do you have to take away the Rumble and the Orianna? Stop both of those combos coming through? That does mean you're blind picking both your solo laners, but it is... Maybe you feel threatened by that Jarvan and how it can combo up with those two solo laner picks. Now you don't have the Akali or the Sylas answers to the Orianna. You could go Azir and say, okay, we don't really want the Orianna, but we can take the Azir side of it. Now the problem is now, Kaz pretty happy, I think, to go for the Orianna. Yep, just an easy Orianna slam. And then the other thing you could do here is just slam the Cassante. Sorry, I have only just woken up. It's been a long week, folks. Slam the Cassante. Cassante just exists versus Rumble and then eventually just becomes a blocker in the front line. Now, Kerr has played a fair amount of Kassadin in his career. In fact, one of my very favorite games from last year was, I think, FPX versus JDG, where Jway was on Nico support. This is before people knew that Nico support was super broken. You got a bunch of 4-man ults, and Kerr was playing Kassadin, died a lot earlier than carried late game. It was very, very fun. Orianna is the lock-in though, but I just want to say the Kassadin is actually a hover you need to consider for Kerr. It's a little less memey than you may be aware. I keep hoping for the GP slam into Rumble. Wasn't aware it was that good actually. Fair play. I'll keep that in mind. Mundo locked in for WE, trying to be a frontline blocker from that frontline themselves. In a way that I suppose the Cassante is trying to be for the other side. Mundo has been very important in Pro when it has been picked, because what it does do is it means that you can face shape brushes really well. Imagine this, right? Typically, Jarvan walks up to a brush, there's an Orianna in there. Orianna shockwaves or you die. Mundo has a chance of living through that. Got your coffee? I do, Blade. Hey Blade, how's it going? Yeah, I do have my coffee, but sometimes coffee is like, it's working a very hard shift in my life. I really don't want to be going through as much caffeine as I do, but yeah. I napped and ruined my sleep schedule. Yeah, that'll do it. I do that often. I do that commonly often. Yeah, okay, so AD carry is getting banned away by WE, supports by NIP. I think Alistair's pretty good for the side of WE. They want an extra front line to kind of deal with some of the shockwaves as well. First nap you've had in 2 years? Oh, that couldn't be me. Northless, by the way. So stopping away. Okay, in fairness, that WE need engage, and I think that the Alistair as a solo engage can be a bit flimsy. Ezreal can escape from the Cataclysm. About is pretty happy with that. Now you have a couple of options here from Yao Yao. You can just sack lane and say, right, well, the Sivir and the Kai'Sa are gone. Some of their scaling advantages are gone. We can go for something like the Alistair and just survive through lane, have an extra tank front line, so it's Mundo Alistair, who's just really annoying to get rid of. On the side of NIP, you need something that follows the engage. Something that hopefully adds to it too. Solo engage Jarvan is pretty rough, especially into these carries. I think they're the ones which need some engage, you know? But the problem is, if you slam in a weak lane, then you get Karmad, and then you get yeah, well then you get Karmad, you know? Lulu locked in. So do you sack the lane or do you contest? Do you Karma for the 2v2 push? Do you Alistair for far better frontline? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Technically you could go Leona for ranged engage. Ezreal Leona used to be a decent duo. Alright, looks like we're fist fighting. Okay, cool. Let's fist fight. Yao Yao, locking in the Karma. So just thinking of these compositions, quite low engage from both teams. So what that means is that macro will be very important. We might see a longer game because it is much harder to finish off a game with lower engage. In terms of whose draft I prefer more. I think I prefer WEs, but it's not by a huge amount. Rumble Kasante wash, mid lane's a wash, bot lane, I guess bot lane's winning by Ezreal Karma. However, you know, you do have Jarvan Orianna, but it's into a comp which, you know, I am expecting Rumble to go Zhonya's maybe second or third. He does need it. How do they kill Kasante? They have an Azir, they have a Rumble, they'll be fine. There'll be a Bloodletters on the Rumble, it'll help. Like, they will have the damage for that. And then, when you have double AP solo laners, the Ezreal does more damage because there's less incentive to build armor. Let's get ourselves into that first game of the day. Our first game of the day. Like we even know how to fish. So W is pushing, NIP is engaging. Yeah, but NIP don't have the best engage either because they have one engage source, which is the Jarvan, and it's against carries which can escape the combo. So I'm actually quite worried for NIP's engage. They're going to have to perform very well early. Alrighty, let's hear those gyos. So, Lorca, I somewhat agree with the whole, you know, well, Azir into Kasante, you know, does Kasante really die? So, what I would raise is this, is that Azir always has a little more damage than you expect, for one, and then you can just build up Bloodletters on the Rumble, which helps basically get a free extra bit of a, Void Staff in them. So what that means is that if you have a Void Staff on Azir and a Bloodletters on Rumble, then the magic resist eventually just becomes not very useful. See the push working from Ezreal Karma, no surprises there. Both junglers going top the bot. Gonna be on a similar timer, I suppose. Oh, one of the annoying things about going top to bot on blue side is you have to take the red buff in the weird order, right? Red, Krugs, Raptors. Can slow you down a little bit at the back end of your clear. Why isn't Hellfire Hatchet in Summoner's Rift? Great question. I used to play that a ton on Senna and Kha'Zix and go like poke Hatchet. It's actually very, very important because there are so many tanks which are so broken in Arena. For those of you that don't know, by the way, Hellfire Hatchet was a Omnivamp lethality item, but it would apply a burn to your target based on their HP. With the first attack every like 20 seconds or something. Or maybe it's like every 30 seconds or something. Mid lane, see that Karis. Ooh, Karis. Okay, what he wanted to do there was slide in for the shield. This is what a lot of this is doing lane. You slide in for the shield, hope you get the damage, especially because the AP ratio has been increased a fair amount, and even with the Doran's Ring, it can help with that. Basically, over time, they tried to make Azir more into a combo champion than a DPS champion. Certainly less of a poke champion. They really hated his poke build, did right? And I understand why. It was actually, looking back on it, very obnoxious. But yeah, if you misplace your soldiers and you E and you just end up in the mini wave, you just get ran down by clockwork wind up. It's really annoying. Ooh, Monkey not able to steal that. Guon safely through his first clear. Also worth noting here, Guon is not going for the bot scuttle contest. A lot of the meta has been win bot lane, invade through bot side, get bot scuttle as well. Control the bot side of the map, give your support a platform to win the game off of vision control, and see how it goes. If you want, a great example of how to do that, the last game yesterday between Weibo JDG was really important for that. Gala and Vampire were very close to winning a 2v2 with a strong bot lane, but they lost very unexpectedly for them actually. They got bot diffed yesterday, by the way. And what that meant is that enemy, their jungler couldn't get to bot scuttle, couldn't go for invades. They ended up falling behind, and then the weaknesses of their composition from playing from behind came to play. So we'll see what happens in this one. Where NIP, they do need the Jarvan to be scary. They need the Jarvan to be strong. He's fine kind of taking stuff like the top scuttle for now. Miserable for NIP bot lane for now, just no outplay. What they're looking to do is just soak a couple of those Karma Qs, Ezreal Qs with the Lulu shield, and just keep within 10 CS. Keep it to 10 CS lead and you're fine. If it goes to like 20, 30, that's when you start worrying actually, because when you get into the first fights of the game, you just don't have the tools to fight them anymore. Not really. There was a really funny WE name at some point. What was it? I'm just thinking back to. Oh yeah. There was was it Weevil? Oh my god. There have been some very funny oh no, that was it. I'm forgetting. WE used to have LP as their AD carry, so just that when things went wrong, it was just whelp. Oh god. Well, I guess you're wondering how I ended up here. Oh my god, I just remembered that. I knew there was a funny WE name at some point in the last few years. Because in China they don't have a space between the tricode and the name. Of course, the best one being, of course, RA Nio, who is now playing for top Esports. That's a lot of skill shots missing, though. But Monkey is hit. Did they miss those skill shots on purpose to bait them in? Perhaps. One can only tell about jumping forwards. Jarvan is down here, too. You can see that his team is still, you know, losing the trade. Go on, try. You just use your Q, buddy. I'm not sure about that one. Karras does have level 6. Oh, Karras, what he was trying to do is predict a shockwave there. Instead, just goes in and uses the ult. I mean, he was probably wanting to use his ult there anyway. One of the things about the Azir-Orianna matchup is you find it a lot harder to use your ult than the Orianna does. Ooh, good Q accuracy from about there. Again, the CS lead is starting to get a little dangerous here if they don't pick up too many. That shockwave there, and even though Karras played the individual matchup well, he's going to blow his own flash. Happy with that. Guon can now revisit that with the Cataclysm later. Monkey will spot the bot lane going for the turret. Cube realizes, look, I'm alone here. There's a chance of a Jarvan pathing topside. I'm just going to get out of here. Guon does not have level 6. Going to walk up and threaten. Remember, there's no flash on Karras, so he would be a dead bird. Dead bird is a... Oh no, technically Dead Bird is not a... I don't think it's Dead Dove is the Binding of Isaac axe item. That's it, Dead Dove. That's the one. So Dead Bird was the name of it. Oops, my bad. Q contesting this. Monkey walking up towards topside. If Guon gets this, he gets level 6 worth noting. Who gets it? He does. No, he gets level 6 just a bit before Monkey. So Monkey... His achievement so far this game is making sure that bot lane is kind of dunked in CS. And they've lost 2 plates on bot lane turret now. And they've ended up losing a bunch of CS too. Although, again, stay to about 10 CS. It's actually fine. It'll go up to about 15 when this wave comes in. Assume jumping forwards with the early level 6. Nice, that's a good trade. Oh yeah, I forgot that Lando Norris was a streamer. Famous streamer Lando Norris, you know, that's his claim to fame, obviously. Yeah, I did notice he accidentally put like a Steam profile on stream. Monkey goes in for the invade. Wait, is the owner of a Halo team called Quadrant? That's cool. Didn't realize that. Okay, but the NIP obviously spot this out. They can't do anything about it. Monkey, by the way, is just going to slingshot ahead in XP. He didn't get it from that first scuttle. Now Cad just uses Shockwave in mid lane. That's why Karras looks kind of, you know, not very happy. Jump onto Yao Yao. Karma Root comes through. Good discipline for now. Uses the heal. Guon has to flash away. And now Draw's in a lot of trouble there too. About thinking about the Q. Waiting for his cooldowns to come back up. About mid dodges out on the fly track. First blood over to Team WE through this bot lane. Assume puts on the afterburners though. Starts to get some damage down. Has some decent damage to play with here. Draw could use the heal to speed him up. Chooses not to. Decent turnaround from Assume, you know. Both AD carries. Fighting hard and about dying with barrier up. I wonder whether he would have lived there. Maybe not. Probably not, actually. I've got a couple of friends on like the team ownership sides of things, and they're big F1 fans. I'm sure they're very happy that Lando is into Halo and COD and the like. Halo and COD are just the esports scenes which I never really checked out. Although, I mean, I really like the idea of like watching like MLG, Halo, etc, etc. Ogre 1, Ogre 2, the Ogre brothers. Some of the greatest esports. Ogre 2 is one of the greatest esports players of all time, by the way. That guy is sick. Go on, going for the red buff steal, trying to return the favor to Monkey stealing blue buff earlier, and does. Guon's doing pretty well at keeping up with the champion, which just farms quicker than you. About a reminder, he doesn't have flash. He used that for the kill earlier. And he's dead. Used the barrier and just gets blasted. They didn't see it coming. Monkey couldn't walk down in time. Tower goes dropped. Here comes Karis, though. And that's going to be Cat right behind him. Not bad damage onto Assume. Does have flash. Jumping back in. Guon. Oh, God, Karis. That's less good. There is a shockwave, by the way. Blows the passive of Mundo. Doesn't kill. Okay, messy. Not in the football goat way. Karis, I think, has actually had a very good start to the year, you know. I know that Kare did he did beat him in the first matchup they had between each other. And again, the Ari was really good from Kare. I'm obligated to remind you there was an Ari one trick before he went into LPL in the pro scene. Kare's playing well, you know, and I have to say, Kare is one of those players. I feel like I say this every time he starts doing well, because people, I think, need to consider this more. I think they do. Kare, when he's on form, is one of the better mid laners in the LPL. Monkey just dies. Pops the ult, he still dies. Guon's finding the angles quite well now. Monkey, despite, you know, some of his great play over this year and the last, getting a bit diffed here, actually. He is now. Guon's having far more impact. Grubs are going to go over to NIP now. Guon's having a great time of it. Hey, Zol, puppy, how's it going? So, now NIP sit at a 1.5. Oh, Ezreal took one of them. Ezreal took one of them. Okay, alright, fair play. 2-1. Great Ezreal ult. Good job about. So NIP, despite the fact that the early lane was kind of shocking, did manage to withstand the pressure, and now they're ahead of the game. Because the Mundo is now behind, I worry that WE, who are trying to play around the Mundo's sole front line with Karma Shields. That's the steal again. Nice. Good accuracy, good timing. I don't think Jarvan is that sticky though, Harold, is the thing. And also, he's not necessarily... I wouldn't have said he was necessarily the counter. I would have said that... Oh, I guess early game. I think that Xin Zhao just destroys Mundo. I think Xin Zhao's far better. He just has way more sustained fight. Mundo can't win in an extended fight versus the Xin Zhao is the thing. He does win an extended fight versus the Jarvan. Hang on, you could potentially ult over the wall here. Cube's not careful enough. Potential of a sweep back into the Mundo, and there it is. There's a flash for Orianna though. Flashes away from the briefcase. Summon it down. Could be worse. Fight on the bot side. Assumed has one item, not two. He's 1v2ing. Does get rooted. He's just going to die. Assume he flashes, tries to get towards Tro, who's not in range. And he'll die. 1v2 from Assume. Badly played from him. Oh, Lee Sin is also one of the best champions in the game into Mundo, by the way. Monkey's walking forwards again. Walks away with a blue buff. Let me see what... Hang on, what statistically counters him? Nidalee destroys him. Karthus is very good versus him, weirdly. Didn't expect that. Pantheon's good into him. Jax is good into him. Oh, no, that's not true. So, no, he's good into Jax, rather. Okay. Jace destroys him. Udyr is very good into him, apparently. Xin Zhao early is really bad for him. Later, it's great. Zed is very happy. No, Jarvan, so funnily enough, I was just looking at a stats website. Apparently, Very early game, Mundo beats Jarvan, and then it's in the mid game where Jarvan starts to take off, which is kind of what we're seeing here. Anyway, sorry, I was distracted a little bit. Now we get onto this dragon. It's a great dump into the backline. They do get the Karma, but they don't get the Ezreal. One down, but without the Karma, it's their Enchanter down. Monkey, you're kind of in a 2v3. Karras turns up now. Gonda has no ult flag. Drag misses about, but Assume can maybe get the kill. The sweep goes on to Care, but doesn't quite kill. Cube has to go in to finish the job. It's not bad damage from Cube. The Equalizer doesn't tag Assume, though. Really not great on the Equalizer there. Very nearly kills the extra carry. There you go. Assume goes down. Last Cube from the Ezreal. It's a messy fight again. What is that, 2 for 2? Well, it's 2 for 3 because Yayo died at the start of it. NIP winning out on that trade. So no one gets to stick around and take the dragon. You know, Monkey died. So we couldn't really stick around for that. Flash for the dunk. The R key from Care just a little slow, so about managed to get that. It did have flash as well. And what happens after this point? So Monkey, I think, overstays. I think he goes in a little bit too early. Karras is making his way into the play a little late. Assume then just finds the angle onto Ezreal to push him out of the play. I thought that he was going to be dead at that point. This Equalizer could have been a lot better, folks. It could have been on either side of the fight. If it just tags Assume, makes a lot of difference there, I think. Good last snipe there, though, from about to pick that up. At the end of the play, NIP will pick up the dragon. Still ahead a similar amount of gold to what they were earlier. And we're getting towards the point where we're, in the next few minutes, we're going to be seeing second items picked up. Hoya looks like he's going for the Frostfire Gauntlet. Wants the extra slow versus the quadruple. Well, I mean, technically triple ranged comp, but it's more like quadruple because the Rumble kind of plays like that too. You want the extra slow, basically. See that Care's gone for the burn build of the Blackfire Torch. No Saras to him. Carol taken down by WE. There'll be some, hang on. Karras looking for the solo kill. Hang on, neither of them have flash. Care, is this going to die? He has Shockwave, can't use it. Good play by Karras in the side lane. Bit of a up and down game for him. I suppose the same for Care now, actually. Care's had a couple of great moments. Both mid laners kind of giving as good as they get, basically. MG has going about. Again, jumps in the mid lane. Gets hit by the Arc of Ruin. Assume will walk forwards with the Lulu buffing them, and it's this time About finds himself in a 1v2. However, first turret go down on top side. Very close to being evened up by the Sensei. Ult now drops in mid lane. It's not bad damage actually from Cube. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Kasante Gaming. You know what? I've come to accept Kasante. I think Kasante is a lot less unfair than he was. I will say, level 20 Kasante is... Yeah, we got problems, level 20 Kasante. So what happened here? Oh, he just walks into the... Well, yeah, I guess he walks into a brush and Azir bursts him. If Azir can start the fight on their terms, before the ball is already out, that's when the Orianna can have some trouble. Because if the fight opens up with a Shockwave, Azir finds it really hard to trade back. If you can be the one to open up with the sweep instead, which we've seen Karras do multiple times now, it helps you a lot more. He's also getting to the point where, you know, he has a Rylai's. We were saying that, well, Orianna doesn't have the... Oh, it wasn't even the 1v2. He just hit by that Arc of Judgment. Gets that Slurkle hits him. And then they got split. Mid lane turret go down. Compass Duo. Let me think. Let me think. Fiend Hunter bolts in for a scene, by the way, and the Cole's cashed in, so he's very, very happy. I am thinking about that compliment, don't worry, Duo. You know, in my heart, you're not just Geo Maiden, because Maiden races are where you debut as a JRA horse. You're a Duo G1, the greatest of all racing accolades, G1. Perhaps even the Duo Classics, the Duo Triple Crown. Hoya is teleporting in as a full tank Kasante, so he's probably going to be okay. Look, the Roll Quest TP shield is really helping him here, and he's still almost getting one shot. Monkey, similarly taking a fair amount of damage. Hoya, buddy, even with the roll quest, that got a little bit dicey there. Fiend Hunter Bolts, yes, that is a very powerful item there, Blade. Oh, jump kick for a huge old combo. Gets out with the flag drag. Didn't want to be stuck in the front line. The shockwave's not bad either, but Monkey's still alive. They don't quite calculate it well enough. And that's the engage gone now. The engage is gone. No shockwave, no cataclysm, no transcended self. Hoya walking on towards Monkey. I'm not gonna lie, I think Monkey's fine now. I think he's fine. And that's highlighting one of the issues, well, the big issue with this game. Neither team has great engage. We called this out from the draft, but basically neither team has wonderful engage. You know how sometimes people will, and I say people very liberally because this also includes myself. That's just the kind of beast I am. You know how some people will replay a conversation in their head and be like, ah, should have done it like that. Or, you know, rethinking a scenario and trying to think your way through it. Like, oh, I should have done this. I feel like this is that version of League of Legends where no one really has enough engage. So you're just sat there just looking at each other and going, if I'd had this conversation the way I'd had in my mind, it would have been perfect. I would have engaged and everyone would have got caught in the cataclysm. Dragon's alive, by the way. Back to reality. Yeah, it's kind of... One of the problems with the Karma here is the Karma just is a less useful champion than Lulu now. About jumps over the wall. Oh, the ultimate's back up from an IP, and there still are summoners for W worth noting. It might come down to one of those big old smite fights. The equalizer's drops, not bad damage. This kit is zoning off a little bit. That's not a bad shockwave. Monkey and Karis get jumped onto. That's not a bad sweep to try and buy some space. In fact, it's got them right back into the Flame Spitter. And Karis, with his dying breath, brings the front line back into proportion. About gets jumped onto. Needs the last couple of autos. Can't quite get the shields, and IP win the fight. Yao just can't save his team as the one last survivor. The Azir shuffle very nearly wins them the fight. Very nearly wins them the fight. Because what it does is it shoves everyone back into the Flame Spitter, and Cube was doing a ton of damage. Yeah, the blood letters, so it did, you know, shred the MR there too. Watch this again, right? So Guan goes in for the big old play. Equalizes down, ends up separating the team, and it buys W a bit of time to try and poke out. And then Shockwave lands, really well played from Care. Then watch this from Karis afterwards, because he ends up shoving everyone back into the Flame Spitter just after as well. 3-man Ezreal, About has a great time with that. That flash wasn't great from About. He gets hit by the Q3 after. I think About can actually outplay this with the flash. Anyway, NAP win the fight, get Dragon. 3 items now. Assume's gone Bloodthirster third. We don't see many Yunaras pick up Sustain. Karis a decent amount of gold behind, but he does have that Rylai's now. Does give him a bit more HP to work with. You can see that Ker's going for like a double burn build. He's going for the Leandries. Huh, really low viewers today. I guess, wait, T1's playing us. It's T1 playing, I suppose. And I would imagine that some of the big streamers are live. Oh, I will dominate live as well. Okay, that makes sense. Because he's actually, he's streaming a little bit. And Cadral's live too. Which is fair, of course. No. When I said people earlier, Andrea, I said that I was included in that, so I was a people in that sense. Oh, okay, maybe I'm misjudging the tone of that. Anyway. So the map's slowed down a little bit now. Or the fights have slowed down while we play the map, rather. End of the day, you gotta play the map, then map the plays. That's the way with League of Legends, so they say. I will get hydrated. Thank you, Angie. Dragon up in 2.5 minutes. Guan has his flashback up. Worth noting, well, this is really dangerous because there's a point where Guan's flash is up and the carries of WEs are down. Is Daytona that big of an event played? Especially, I put it this way. Do you expect League of Legends players to be Daytona watchers? I understand this is a big event. I hear the name a lot. It's not my thing, but yeah. I wouldn't say the overlap would be huge, would it? Maybe I don't understand the demographic. Oh, hang on. This is interesting too, by the way. About has gone for the Endless Hunger third item, which effectively is a... It's kind of a win more item, where if you get a kill or an assist, you end up getting huge healing afterwards based on your stats. It's kind of like it's a late game scaling item. Look up the item again. So you don't see this item that much. So 60 AD, 5% Omnivamp, 20% Tenacity. And you get some extra ability haste as well. So you get, like... Yeah, it's based on your AD. So your AD goes into ability haste, which is really important for Ezreal, obviously. But yeah, when you get a takedown, you get 15% Omnivamp for 8 seconds. So it's a very good scaling item. I hadn't expected to see it here. I mean, to be honest, I feel like it needs a Cyrilda's. Even against the, even with double AP solo laners, he does need the armor at some point. Okay, fair play, fair play. Dragon up in 30 seconds now. Seeker's built up by Karis, so he's going to be a little bit more safe from the shockwave. Now, WE have been in these sorts of situations before where they've lost early game and they have to fight their way back late game. Karis on his ear has carried a couple of games like that. You see that teleports out onto the map. Hoya's behind them. Can he drag someone back in? Well, shockwave's down. Karis goes golden. Ooh, Hoya tried to punt him back in the team. Couldn't quite. Monkey might still die. That ult is doing a lot of work, and the equalizer is kind of shit again. Not great, Cube. Cube's equalizers have been quite poor. Very good item on Smolder too. Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine that. Now, the problem is comparing to something like the Bloodthirst, you don't get that over shield, but it does give you Omnivamp, which helps on all of your damage. Of course, good damage with the QW, forces the heal out of Yao Yao. Monkey getting gunned down by the Nymaera. He's very good at just kind of, you know, running at you. Yeah, not the best equalizers this game from Cube. You need to see more. Cube doesn't have that ultimate for a little while now. Jumping onto Monkey, who's going to flash away. Okay, flash down for a couple of people now. Q3 hit by Hoya. Again, you can see the lack of engage really being put to the forefront here. We're getting to the point now where ultimates are coming back up. Everyone's got enough ability haste where in a very, very long fight, you just need to get him back. Dragon's going to be taken by NIP. WE can't really fight this anymore. At the end of the day, it's not like WE have any engage either. Besides a crazy sweep from Dizzy. Morbius sweep. Is there another movie that people... You know how Morbius was so greatly reviled that it kind of turned into a... It was so bad that it turned into meme internet culture, and they made it... Well, the groundswell led to it being released in cinemas again, where it flopped a second time. So not only did it flop, they released it again, and it flopped again. What movie, if you had the choice, would you re-release back into cinemas just to see it flop again? Alright, you have a choice of any movie in the world. What movie would you release to see it flop again? Aragon? I mean, that movie was really shit. That movie, the books were quite special, you know. They were quite, but the movie was really, really bad. Oh, that's true. Yeah, there is no Aragon movie. True. It is. Yeah, I'm glad they never released that. Percy Jackson movie was really bad. Yeah, that was really bad. You have it on DVD? Oh no. Oh god. The live-action Dragon Ball movie. Now the thing is, what was really crazy about the live-action Dragon Ball movie is that it was so bad that it got the mangaka to like start again, effectively. No, it's pretty bad, Vinculus. It's pretty bad. It's a very bad adaptation. It's a very bad adaptation. I suppose actually as a movie, it's like mediocre, but actually as an adaptation, it's just straight up bad. You have the Aragon game that's based on the movie. That's a thing which is kind of gone and come and gone, by the way. The era of video game adaptations for movies, because effectively when it was a PlayStation 2 original Xbox era, it was so cheap to make games compared to the movie cost. You may as well chuck it in as extra marketing. This is something that the Star Wars prequels did really well. Also have the Lord of the Rings game based on Two Towers. The Two Towers and the Return of the King game were really, really good. I can't remember the Fellowship of the Ring one as well. Hang on, jumping on to draw. Blows the flash. But yeah, movie tie-ins used to be... Video game tie-ins to movies used to be very popular. To make anyway by studios, because they were just a good return on investment a lot of the time, because they weren't crazy to make in terms of the cost, and then, you know, chance of them popping off. Yeah, that kind of the era of that stopped at some point. But yeah, the Star Wars prequels did very well with it. You know, Attack of the Clones, I think it had something like 12 tie-in movies, something like that. No, the tie-in games. No, NIP are pushing up. Again, there's very little engaged, so we're kind of waiting until you do something like that. There's still a Shockwave available, and they do get summoners out of About and Yaya. Yeah, About didn't have that flash to use. Equalizer's better this time. Guon will fly drag. He's under the Azir turret, though, and he's gone too far. Okay, game's speeding up a little bit now. Now your Jarvan's gone. Do they go Baron? Baron? Now the thing is, Soul is up in 2 minutes. What's your plan? Do you run at Baron and say we have an Azir, we can take this, we can tank this? They're going to take mid lane turret first. Folks, you might have wasted too much time now. W push down mid lane. They're going to go towards Baron. If they start Baron now and they take it on good timing, they may be able to reset before the Ocean Soul. If they don't get Ocean Soul, they have completely screwed this. Okay. Right, coming back onto this Baron now. Hoya going forwards, trying to go onto Karis, can't quite get... No, the Shockwave whips, and the Baron's going to go over to WE. Yeah, the lack of engage is really hurting them. Zhonya's from Cube. That's a lot of damage onto Hoya. He's going to go down. Now, can NIP somehow get the dragon in 50 seconds? WE need to reset ASAP. If they reset... Monkey, dude, yeah, please, reset. You have like 40 seconds till dragon. Don't take your damn Grom. Oh, jeez. Okay, right, so they're going to walk back out onto the map. There's a Serilda's now for Ezreal. He's really hit some crazy items. So Bout gets spotted out here. Flash forwards, and he goes onto the Karma. And then, yeah, they managed to run away. And then Gorn's gone really, really deep. You can see that the Soul Engage duty really sucks for the John. I don't even think that Gorn's playing it individually poorly. You know, he's got to get those flashes out sometime and try and get that play started. He's the only person that can engage in this game. Okay, so Dragon was taken... It hasn't been taken, it's up now. Turret pushed in. NIP, do they have any way to contest the Dragon? Orianna's pushing top lane, will take an inner turret. NIP feel like they can't defend the base. A movie that released flop and I want to release again for it to not flop is Treasure Planet. That's a great point. Treasure Planet was really characterful. Really liked that film. Oh, a movie I'd release again to not flop is the D&D movie. That was actually a very good film, the D&D movie. Okay, right, this dragon will be sold for NIP if they get it. It's not bad this time. Karis does have flash. He might have to use... He's not going to be able to use it. He gets dragged back. He tries to get things through. He does get a sweep up, but the is down. Karis has had a pretty bad game, folks. Assume is still up and alive, and now you've got to play the late game fight without your carry. You were just using the Baron buff really well. Juwon's been taken low, though, and at the end of the day, if you look, that's a good shockwave. That's a very good shockwave. That might actually save things for them. Keep going forwards with the flames. Spitzer takes a lot of damage. Monkey's getting business mode on. It's business time, so said the Flight of the Concords. Monkey getting a lot of damage down. Big Dragon's still at half HP. It's not even smite range just yet. Juwon's into the back of the pit. Oh my god, they don't know is that. Don't know is that. They do now. He pops out of that brush. Guys, what are you going to do about trying to get some extra damage down? It gets taken by an IP. They take the soul. Monkey's walking forwards. He's trying to regen. He's not taking a bad job of it about trying to get his own poke in. But the Ocean Soul is there now, and that poke is not going to last nearly as long as you'd like to. About just about lips of the Omnivamp by the Endless Hunger. Gyuwon jumps in, tries to kill the AD carrier now, despite taking that dragon. May fall, no escapes. NIP somehow get the soul. About will throw the ult out. I don't think this kills. It doesn't kill, I don't think. It's not even going to hit. Oh, good lord. Karis, Zhonya's the initial engage, couldn't flash out, got all outed back towards his back towards the enemy team. Oh dear, oh dear. NIP getting the soul. W just after that Baron buff. This was somewhat the worry, by the way, that if they went towards mid lane then Baron, maybe they'd struggle to set up the dragon in time, and I think they did. I mean, Karis, my dude, you just can't be positioning like that. This is like the third or fourth time that he's been engaged on, so I get that he's got the Zhonya's, and I suppose it's easier for that. He almost gets a full team shuffle, by the way. If he gets everyone in there, it actually doesn't matter. I would argue at that point, just flash into the enemy team and just try and get the full sweep. And that shockwave is just magnificent. It's both bot laners. About does have Omnivamp. And, you know, it does help when his ult hits then at that point, because he actually gets decent regen through. I just don't know how W win against an Ocean Soul now. Against like a Sensei with Ocean Soul who's going to get like level 20? I don't know. That's pretty bad. Monkey's passive pops. Is it pushing a mid lane? The Baron Burst well worn off at this point. NIP is still behind in gold, but I don't think we care too much. Crystallize destroys the tower. So all outer towers are now down. Karis has full Zhonya's, doesn't have flash. Burned that in the last fight. Still, I think Kare's shockwaves have been very, very good. In terms of player of the game, I think it probably still is Kare, you know. I think that Gyuwon's had a couple of iffy moments. Well, not that Kare hasn't, but I think the shockwaves have been very important to this game. I guess Gyuwon is soul engage. You can give him some more points for that. Too bad. Be careful. It's fine. Jumping on to Monkey now. He doesn't have flash. He needs to pop the ult, like, fairly early, actually. The Redemption's coming through. This is a pretty tanky Mundo. The shockwave comes through. That is a very tanky Mundo, but you shouldn't be there, buddy. You just shouldn't be there. Monkey, he just goes down. The Protoplasm pops. The fact that he dies despite taking so long to die shows you how far out of position he was. You know, if you've got to invest that amount of time and that amount of damage into him, probably just shouldn't be there. That being said, you know, the Aragon movie, I wouldn't even put it up in the list of, like, worst adaptations ever. I wouldn't put it up like that, because there are so many awful adaptations out there. And that is, I mean, for me, the very worst adaptation for me, well, actually, no, that's actually quite a long list. I jumped to the Halo series, because the Halo series was really bad. But there are a great many out there. Reminder, oh my god, it's a lot of damage on the drop. Now, can they activate the Ocean Soul to get that regen through? Baron's being taken down. Kare going to try and hold the door shut and use the shockwave. Cube not going to be in position to do much here. Reminder that Mundo was still dead. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe. I mean, I thought that the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie was fine. I thought that was fine, honestly. And in fact, actually, I would say, by the way, I would say, instead of reading the books, well, don't read the books anyway, they're good. I would actually say listen to the radio show. The radio show that was done by the BBC was really, really good. I think it was BBC. But there was a radio, like, adaptation for The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is one of the best adaptations ever, I would say. Oh, season 2 of the series. Apparently, the series of Percy Jackson is really well. It started well for like the first episode, and then the pacing was bad. And then the problem that Percy Jackson's fallen into is apparently it's fallen into the Netflix horrible. It's this Netflix slop now of where I have to explain everything that's happening on screen 3 to 4 times to people who are watching it on a second screen. Okay, so Elder's up in a minute. NIP trying to push in as a grouped unit again, threatening with that shockwave when Archaic joins the party. He's not with the clump right now. Team pushes in for the mid lane inner turret. Foxy sucked on Disney Plus. I thought they were struggling before that too, not gonna lie. But yeah, apparently the last season was not very good. T-minus 45 seconds until Elder Dragon spawns. We have gone late game for our first game of the day. Hoyer is so tanky. Level 19 Cassante. Why did we allow level 19 Cassante to exist? Go on. Could jump forwards, you know, the whole engage thing, which both teams struggle to do. About just doesn't do... Hoyer's just never going to die. I just don't see how this guy dies. There's no death cap on his ear for, like, hyper-scaling. You kind of need huge shred from the Rumble into Karis damage, and then he still needs to be out of position and, you know, not omni-vamping. I wonder... You know what, guys? I wonder, for WE, the only way they win is through a backdoor through that top lane wave. Hoyer takes some damage, Monkey takes more, and Ocean Soul's the thing. Yeah, folks, I actually wonder whether WE try and go for a backdoor. I just don't think they can win from this position. They might be... There are 2 inhibs to take, I suppose. E out for danger from about. Jumping onto Monkey again. He does have flash. The redemption is there. He actually dodges his own redemption. Equalizer's used. Remember that, you know, Ocean Soul is ticking on many of these members. Asim can just walk forwards and put on the afterburn. He's doing a lot of damage, actually. It's not bad. And there's no damage back. Karis could look for a sweep. Flash away from the Rumble. NIP are winning out on the HP trades. Of course they are. They got the Ocean Soul. Karis puts up the tower behind them. NIP have the last of that Baron buff. They'll fall off that. They will take the inhib turret. We are well and truly into the smoke and mirrors. This is not normal League of Legends, not normal macro. Okay, damage from about there. Just against the Ocean Soul. Such a pain in the butt. No Mundo ult. Nah, it's a problem. Mundo don't be having that ult. And this Elder could decide the entire game. Still, Shockwave available. Azir Shuffle available. I don't even think a god like Azir Shuffle changes that much. Hoyer teleports right into the middle, but he has the roll quest teleport to shield. He's unkillable. He's completely unkillable. Like, he just assumes he shields are shielding. Jagger's out of position. Asim tries to take him down, but he'll flash away. Now WE are walking with the wave towards the enemy base. The shockwave, it's flashed forwards by Hoyer. Karis is caught out again. Needs to sweep them back and stop. Baguan will go down. Karis needs to survive. He cannot afford to die at this point. He's trying to take down Gorm, but they just can't kill him. It's too close. It's so close. No one has died for like the last 2 minutes, and I feel like that we've been robbed of those kills. Oh my god, Karis just about living. The GA being blown on Jarvan. Well, that's something. That is something for W. And now, hang on. And now, guys, NIP have been forced away from the dragon. There is still a ward in this brush. I hope you realize that. They do not realize that, in fact. Good damage. The Bloodletter really shredding the magic resist to allow a bit more damage there. Karis, remember, no Zhonya's. Karis, you can't be positioning like that. It's so risky. Asim has flash as well. I'm actually quite worried if Asim just flashes on Karis. He might just insta-kill him. Gaio's back into play. There's a huge wave in top lane inhib, by the way, for NIP. There's the same one on the bot lane for WE. No teleport for Azir to go. Yeah, they're actually losing top lane inhib as we speak at this point. But it's Elder. You have to stick around for this cube. Does have the equalizer back up now. Does he try and drop it across the team again? He needs to time it well. It's not bad. That's not bad, actually. That's not bad at all. Let's see if he tries to put down the equalizer. He could actually equalize and then try and teleport to the base. No, he's going for the fight. Not the best equalizer. Doesn't really tank you want. Oh, Monkey has really low HP again. Okay, almost dead though to Karis. Karis done some great damage there. Asim, it's going forward. The wall growth comes through. Karis is down. Karis is down. Cube. D's not in the play either. What's he doing? WE, they just don't have the position for this. This is all down to the smite. Yayo gets caught. Abaro's coming forwards, and he's going to try and dash out of the play. He's getting decent damage, and the Omnivamp saves him. Hang on, with the jungler dead. Guys, with the jungler dead, there's no smite for the Elder. There's no smite for the Elder. WE, they can take the objective. The Cube just needs to live a little longer. He'll get access to it. Guys, finish the dragon! finish the damn dragon! He'll go down. And how many people are left alive? We have 2 people on each team. The Elder Dragon can stop him as well. Monkey's threatening the kill! And WE, despite being against the Ocean Soul, despite being down almost all of this game, will clutch through the Elder Dragon. And folks, I think they're just going to win the game. They will. They're just going to win the game. About lives to tell the tale. Guon tries to assassinate him in the dragon fight. They fail. And NIP, despite getting the Ocean Soul, will lose game 1. God, that was one of the strangest games I've seen in a while. Yeah, well, welcome to Group Perseverance, folks. Okay. I don't know how that happened the way it did. Oh, I forgot to put my socials back on. Oopsies. Okay, I gotta go put on an ad break before Twitch keeps shouting at me. Well, that was a game of all time. I will get hydrated. Not gonna lie, not my best play-by-play ever, but the energy was there. That's game 1. That is game 1. Yeah, Sam, NIP just lost with Ocean Soul around an Elder Dragon. Yeah. I don't know. Sam, I don't know. I don't know. They had a level 20 Cassante at an Elder Dragon with an Ocean Soul, and they still couldn't get it done. Yeah. Oh, reminder, folks, today's Sam's day off, so it's just me clowning about with these clowns. This sounds like this summoning salt song. Thank you for the follows, by the way. I do appreciate it. Tell you what, I had an interesting conversation on Twitter the other day. No, yesterday even. Or, well, snippets of it, and then a Reddit post game thread as well. Where I talked about how there was a Na'Vi game in LEC yesterday, in which Rilek was blamed for not covering a bot dive. However, in that draft, it should never be, and I really stress this, it should never be diveable in that game. And the reason why that dive happened... So basically, Aatrox did a level 1 invade, which, by the way, the observers missed and the casters didn't comment on, I believe, because of that. So then they kind of were like, yo, Rilek, you gotta, like, cover bot lane, without realizing that really... bot lane took such a heavy trade at level 1 that they couldn't survive the dive that the draft should... You should never get dove in that draft. And it happens, you miss that stuff. But it just made me think about the knock-on effects of missing bits of information, like a level 1 invade, and like some early jungle pathing stuff. Like the knock-on consequences of that are actually like, hang on, whose fault is it actually? Technically, it's bot lanes for getting dove in the way that they did, technically. But you know, the jungler is the one that kind of bore the brunt of that because, you know, blame jungler, hashtag. Yeah, no, that was, but basically there's a website which chimed in on this conversation saying, actually, you know, the best statistical indicator for surviving a dive is, of course, HP before the dive window. Yeah, it's that one, Blade, yeah. Yeah, basically, Rilek went for a level 1 invade, because Jarvan, if he's not ahead of the game, does very little, and also Aatrox, who's ahead of the game, is disgusting, as we've seen. And in fact, he did carry the game after. But yeah, basically, he was going for a very, you know, individual lead early path, saying, hey, I'm going to get ahead. Bot lane, you play safe, because they were playing Nymaera Initialise, which is not like a crazy fight early bot lane. It's on bot lane because Alistair never wins level 1. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that was with a counter pick support too, which in fact actually Paris mentioned in the post game interview, saying that actually I was counter pick support and I lost with it. You know, I lost my part of the game with it basically. So that's on me. So I found, well, I mean, good on him for admitting that, I suppose. Yeah, but no, I found that very interesting in terms of the knock-on effects of missing small details like that. Oh, the flash world growth. Oh, what a silly fight. Because then it's like, well, okay, the Azir's down. Oh, I gotta watch this fight again. So what happens? I mean, About gets a ton of damage down. Assume gets blasted. Guon doesn't kill About. Hoya... Does Hoya just lose to Cube? Oh my god, he does. I mean, even with Ocean Soul, he basically just loses to Cube. He does. I mean, Cube just destroys him. Credits it. Well, credit late game Rumble, I guess. But no, I did find it quite funny that both, like, the observers and the casters, like, I think it's partly because the early game is so quick now. The early game is so quick because the minions meet in, like, 1 minute or so. I think it's much easier to miss, like, early things. But then the knock-on effects of missing them is actually quite intense. Particularly because, like, Rilek's a new player. You really... yeah, Rilek's a new player, and he's actually very impressive. So,